All right, hello and welcome everybody. My name is Barry Gipson. This is the official America's Team YouTube channel, and recently I took a tour of the Star, and I wanted to put together this slideshow to kind of give you an insider look. There was several folks from our group that would have made it that day, but it was over 100 degrees. As you can see, it was very, very hot. The sun was shining and beaming there, so folks may have thought that this tour consisted of being outside mainly, and it's actually not. You're probably outside maybe 10% of the tour, and the other 90% is on the inside. So we'll just take you through some pictures that I took and give you some insight. As you can see here, this is the field outside of Ford Center with the big screen TV there. So you got the end zone. There was some folks out there playing around. Very, very hot it was, and then we went through the door there under the Ford Center to start the tour. So we'll take you to the next slide. So here's a broader view. As you can see, the Ford Center there with the big screen TV in the back. And you can take a look over here. This is the inside of the Ford Center as we came in. So apparently this can seat up to about 20,000 folks. You got a lot of local high schools there in Frisco that actually play. This setup here was for the Big 12 Media Day. As you can see, you got the Longhorns, TCU, you got all the college banners floating from the roof there. So they had the it's a multi-purpose facility here, and Jerry Jones is the master businessman. So they're going to have, not only are we getting paying to take tours, but I'm sure that those colleges are paying to have their media day there. It's a very prestige facility. It's brand new, and you could still smell brand new. They just opened this as of last year. I said it took them about 2 years to build this whole facility. So it's multi-purposed. And as we go through the slides, you'll see some of the areas that folks can also have access to on a regular basis. So once you get inside and you go upstairs, you come around from the Ford Center. This is the overview from the west wing as you're walking through the facility. As you can see, here's the practice field. This is actually turf, and to the right over here on the other side of the tower, you can see that it's actual grass. So depending upon who the Cowboys are playing that week, they will practice on turf if it's turf, or they will practice on grass if it's grass, to kind of get them ready, get their footing ready, get their mentality ready that this is where they're going to play. And there was one little thing that I thought that was very neat that the tour guide shared with us. As you can see, that you can't see way off in the far background, but these field goals are actually smaller than the regular size field goals on the actual fields in the stadiums. And that's because Dan Bailey had requested that these field goals be smaller, so that way he could become more accurate. So when he got on the game days, he would have a wider target because he practiced on a smaller target. So I thought that was very unique, and it probably contributes a lot to why Dan Bailey is very accurate the way that he is. So you can't see on the other side, but the other side of that field, the field goal is actually smaller than this one. So, and then as you walk around, you'll see this board here, and a lot of these numbers, all of these numbers can be changed, but this is called the numerology wall. And you can see it says 15 Pro Hall of Famers, 7 Super Bowl MVP. So all of these numbers are interchangeable, and this gives a running history of where the Cowboys organization is at. And as those numbers will change, and you can see the 5 Super Bowls there throughout those different years, 71, 77, 92, 93, 95. Those numbers can change too as well. So that was very, very informational. Once they said it was the wall of numerology. And as you can see, the all-time leading rusher, Emmitt Smith was there, eclipsing Walter Payton, his sweetness. So I thought that this was a very great piece of history there with the wall of numerology. And as you walk around, they've got various things scattered throughout the building. And here you've got a sitting couch, and here's explaining the great trade robbery where Jimmy Johnson traded Herschel Walker, and then they drafted Emmitt Smith, and that's when we made those Super Bowl runs in the 90s. So this gives a little brief snapshot of the history there. And then as you scroll down, there's a window with some various pictures there. You can see the polka dot suit that Emmitt Smith had on when he was drafted. You got Ed Too Tall Jones. You got some other pictures there of just tons of Dallas Cowboy organization history within this building. It's just a sight to see. It's so immaculate. The precision and all of that goes into the details of it is just it's just so it's indescribable. It was just awesome as a Cowboy fan to experience this. as you continue to scroll through, you can see my shadow there on the back of it. It was a very shiny day. So these are the rookie contracts and what they were worth. So you take a look at Tyron Smith's, Tony Romo, Troy Aikman. So it kind of gave you a snapshot of over the years. You got Mr. Cowboy at the bottom, Bob Lillian, and Roger Staubach, favorite of mine, as he had served in the Navy like myself. So it just gives you a snapshot of how the salaries grew up into where they were at. And then over this area here, you could see that we were walking this picture of Jason Witten, and that was in that Philadelphia game where he lost his helmet, and he ran like a wild man without his helmet during that. So that was a very pivotal moment during that game. That was very historical in terms of the way it happened, and he was a big part of the reason why they came up with that helmet rule after contact during those plays. So great pieces of history there too. Now, I thought that this was very interesting because they have a lot of Jerry Jones isms and a lot of Jason Garrett isms with quotes and terms and sayings and things scattered throughout the building. But here you could take a look at, you've got a couple of awards. You got the Hammer and you got the Knockout Award. And for every win that the Dallas Cowboys get, these awards are given out. And so players will earn these awards based on their production in the game and plays that maybe make the difference in them winning. It's only given out during winning games. And I can't remember exactly who he said got the Hammer and they got the Knockout during the same game. Forgive me, memory fails me here, but I just thought that was very, very interesting that they had incentives during the games, and these awards were given out to players during that win. And you see here it says, we must establish our identity in everything we do: attack, compete, physical, relentless, execute, finish. Just a lot of subliminal messages scattered throughout the building, and I found that to be very interesting. And then here you've got a snapshot of the first Super Bowl that we won in the 70s. It just gives a total overview pictures, kind of give you a snapshot to take you back down memory lane. They had 5 of these there as it went through all of the separate Super Bowls that we won, and it gives a brief history and rundown and what was going on, and it was just very interesting to read that. So this tour did take about an hour and a half, so it was very lengthy, and as we moved through it, we got to take pictures. We could not do video, however, and that's why I've placed these photos into a slide and kind of narrating you on my experience and just to take you through it, so that way those of you that may never get a chance to go there, at least you can see a peek on the inside of it. And those for you that thought that maybe it was outside, that it actually isn't. You can walk through the building, and next time you set up your tour, you'll be able to see it, and it's just an outstanding experience. Here's some more of the Super Bowls that they've gone through. So a lot of information. You see, Troy Aikman, that was during the Triplet years of those 90s. And then we had the remaining Super Bowl Lombardis that we own and the rings, and we'll get to those trophies later down in the slides. Here you can see I was in the media or the briefing room where they come in, and as you can see it says the team. So we weren't supposed to take pictures at that time, but I took a selfie very quickly as the tour guide was explaining to us how they come in there and how they seat. And I was in row 8, and they said that Des Bryant likes to come in, and he goes all the way up to, or I was in seat 8, but he goes all the way up to row 8 to come over against C8. So it's pretty, or to whatever number it is. So essentially he's sitting in 88. So he's sitting in row 8 and seat 8, and obviously Des is 88, his number. So that's reflects part of his mentality there in the building, and coming in for the media or coming in for briefings. What's a watch tape? They've got a screen on the in front of me there. And they also can rent this out. They said that they've rented this out on several occasions to the community, where they've had some parties, some movie viewings where they brought a high school in and they watched a football show there. And, another multi-purpose facet of this facility that Jerry Jones allows folks to be able to take advantage of it, of course, with monetary advances. So, and here's a star, and it's got a saying here, and I can't exactly remember what it says there, but all of the players, this is the walkway as they come out of the locker room and they exit onto the field. So everybody comes through there and touches it. So I found that to be pretty interesting. I wanted to get a quick snapshot of that there. And then here you've got some various pieces. As you can see, it's still very bright. You can see my reflection in the background. All of this was glass. I think this is the branding mark on how they came up with the Cowboys. Very interesting. How it's went from, the star on the boot, and they were actually thinking about calling it Longhorns. And, they actually started playing in the Cotton Bowl in the 60s once the Dallas organization stood up. And there was actually two teams in Dallas at the time, and those were the Dallas Texans, believe it or not. And then they had the Kansas City, they left for Kansas City in the 60s after they decided which team was going to stay, and ultimately it became the Dallas Cowboys. And then the Dallas Texans left for Kansas City, and then later on became known as the Kansas City Chiefs. So a lot of pivotal history there that I found very interesting that I didn't know about. It was a great history lesson walking through the Star and getting to see all of this memorabilia and going down and taking a history class of the Dallas Cowboys organization. And so here you can see the first helmet and the first jersey with the branded logo, and just great pieces of information. And this was actually, these pieces were actually right on the outside skirts of the cafeteria there where the Cowboys eat. And I believe I got a picture of that, so we'll take a look. All right, so here I found this very interesting. This is the catch, the Hail Mary by Drew Pearson against Minnesota. And basically, everybody knows how it went. I was very fortunate. I was at we're at the National Fantasy Football Convention the day before there in Dallas, and this is part of the reason why I was in Dallas. But I got a chance to meet Drew in person, and he talked a little bit about this. But as we scroll through, you've got frame by frame as you go up the steps of this play as it took place. And yes, everybody says, oh, he pushed off, but hey, he made the catch. We won the game. But as you can take a look at this picture, you see this brief dot there in between the defender on the ground and Drew there, and it's an orange. And most of the players during that game had thought that a flag had been thrown, but they said once they seen that hit the field and it rolled off, they knew that it wasn't a flag. So Minnesota was trying to dispute it, saying that a flag was thrown, and of course this was the era before instant replay. So this snapshot caught a picture of an orange being thrown, and the reason why they were throwing oranges is because the winner of this game, which Minnesota thought that they had it wrapped up before Drew made this miraculous Hail Mary catch, they anticipated going to Florida to play in the Sunshine Bowl for the Super Bowl. And so they had brought a lot of oranges, and they had planned on throwing them on the field after Minnesota had won, but that wasn't the case. So Drew had something else up his sleeve. He made the Hail Mary catch, and we know how history went. So I found that to be very interesting. I wanted to take a picture of that and share that specifically with you because I didn't know that either. And that was just outstanding for them to share that. And then as you can see here, I'm on the field, and this is about the 10% of the tour that I said you could go outside. It was very hot, so I wanted to come out there very quickly and get a snapshot on the end zone and point up towards the Ford Center there. And then as you can see, I'm in the media room here at the Ford Center, and this is the actual podium in the background where Tony Romo stood and gave his football as a meritocracy speech on how he was stepping away from the Cowboys and would take on a role with CBS. So thought that was historical. Wanted to get a quick snapshot there. Just a very beautiful facility, very big. They've got Italian marble in there. The details inside of the Star are just outstanding. Then as we wrap up, this was another piece of the Star that I found to be very interesting. You've got, the AFC on the left of the helmet. You can see the Raiders, the Chiefs, the Colts. You got the NFC on the right. You got the Cowboys obviously at the top. But all of these teams are by division and they're alphabetical order. And it's no miracle that the Dallas Cowboys are at the top. You got the Giants below, the Eagles, and then the Redskins. But all of these lights are currently on these helmets. And the reason why is the season hasn't started. And they said when the season starts at the Star, only the lights of the team that we will play will be on. So the first week as the season starts, the Dallas Cowboy helmet light will be on and the New York Giant light will be on. And so that is kind of a subliminal message, and it shows there. And it's indicative of the facility, just to kind of let everybody know who may obviously, which they wouldn't know, but it gives you a visual of who your opponent is that coming week, and it kind of allows you to focus on it with the remaining helmet lights off and only the helmet lights on of the Cowboys and the opponent of that week. And then as you scroll down here, we're wrapping the tour up. You can see you've got the 5 Lombardis there. They're actually bolted on. We couldn't touch. This is right as you come through the grand atrium to the right. This is where all of the visitors of the Star, or folks that come in, as soon as you come in to the right, these are the first things you see is the 5 Lombardi trophies of the championships that represent those years the Cowboys won. And just what a great tour that it was. And I just wanted to share all of this with you guys, so that way if you make it out there, you kind of know what to expect, and give you an insider look for those of you that can't make it. At least you get a little glimpse of it. And this is brought to you by Official America's Team, the greatest Facebook legacy group that's out there right now. And just we wanted to be able to share this with our members. And then here is a picture. This is the grand atrium that I talked about as you come in the door, and then to the right of that is where the Lombardis are. But you can see that the field is there. And if you take a look up here, you see these lights that are hanging. This was done by an artist that the Cowboys organization paid from the Bay Area. His name was Leo Villarreal, and he created this this light fixture, and that's what he's known for. And basically, these lights have so many different rhythms for the lights to go off, or modes. I don't know, I'm at a loss for words here, but it never duplicates. So it's got so many patterns of how the lights come on and off that it never will duplicate. It's got that many. So it's just beautiful as you walk in. It gives a great ambiance, unlike any other thing that I've ever seen, with those lights as they hang down. And as you turn to the right there, you see those Lombardi trophies, and then out there you can see the field. So that just gives you a grand overview of the grand atrium as you walk into the Star facility. And that is kind of concluding the tour. So if you want to connect with us, you can check us out on Facebook and Instagram at officialamericas.team.com. Make sure you like this video, give it a thumbs up, leave me a comment, and let me know if you've been to the Star, what you took away the most from it. Everything to me was just immaculate. And then be sure you leave us a comment and give us a thumbs up. And also subscribe to the channel, especially Cowboy fans. Give us some support here. And then visit our website at officialamericas.team.com, and be sure to sign up for our weekly newsletter, because there we will be informing our members of things like these. We plan to take this tour once a year. Next July, we'll do it again. And then we head into November. We've got everybody meeting up for the Philly game. So be sure to visit our site, officialamericas.team.com, and sign up for the newsletter, and then we'll connect with you there. Thank you, guys. Go Cowboys. It's Super Bowl or bust, baby. You know how it is. officialamericas.team.com. This is Barry Gipson. I've been your host, and I'm out.